There's a story about Carl Jung that most people completely misunderstand. A woman came to him, utterly shattered by betrayal. She kept repeating the same words through her tears. "I don't understand how they could do this to me." She wasn't crying over the lie itself. She was mourning the person she had imagined, someone who had never actually existed. Jung saw something most of us miss. The deepest pain doesn't come from reality. It comes from the brutal collapse of our fantasy. The human mind does something dangerous with people we admire, love, or desire. We fill in their missing pieces. We meet someone confident and assume they're loyal. We meet someone attractive and assume they're kind. We meet someone who truly sees us once, and suddenly we build an entire ideal personality around them that was never there. Most people aren't in relationships with others. They're in relationships with their own projections, and then reality cuts in, quietly like a knife. In the delayed replies, the jokes that sting, the sudden distance when you're no longer useful, the way affection appears only when it serves them. You've felt it, that quiet moment when the version of them in your head feels warmer than the real person standing in front of you. That realization changes everything. You start seeing how almost everyone performs different versions of themselves depending on who's watching. The loyal friend becomes someone else in another room. The nice person turns cruel the moment they taste power. The one who preached honesty gets defensive the second you speak it. Most people aren't consciously lying. They genuinely believe their own mask. Carl Jung taught that every human carries a shadow, the hidden parts of themselves they refuse to face. The more someone denies their shadow, the more artificial they become. That's why some people start feeling strangely empty once you know them long enough. The performance eventually glitches. The mask slips, and for one raw second, you see the insecurity behind the charm, the envy behind the support, the control behind the affection. People don't fear being seen. They fear being seen completely. The day you stop romanticizing people is deeply unsettling, because you finally realize how much of your suffering came from loving illusions your own mind created. After that, everything shifts. You stop listening only to words. You study patterns. And patterns never lie. You notice how some people only show affection when you start pulling away, how respect magically appears after distance, how attention surges the moment you stop chasing it. Human behavior is deeply reactive. Most people don't value what's freely given. They value what feels hard to secure. Kindness without boundaries quietly trains people to use you. Once you understand projection, social life becomes psychologically disturbing. The insecure accuse others of seeking attention. The dishonest obsess over loyalty. The controlling call themselves protectors. The ones terrified of abandonment become the ones who suffocate others. Everyone reveals themselves, and not through grand confessions, but through repetition. Awareness ruins denial forever. And denial is what keeps most relationships alive. You begin spotting the friend who only calls during their crises, the person who competes with you in every conversation, the relationship where your vulnerability is later used as ammunition. At first it hurts. Your mind wants to defend them. They're just stressed, they didn't mean it. But eventually the darker truth hits. What if you've been translating disrespect into misunderstanding simply because you were afraid to lose them? Many relationships only survive through denial, not love. Awareness creates distance, not always physical, but psychological. Compliments start sounding transactional. Affection feels strategic. You stop being hypnotized by charm. You see how groups punish real authenticity, how honesty threatens entire social structures built on polite lies. The person who stops performing becomes the problem. And here's what's even more disturbing. Most people don't even realize they're performing. The ego will protect its image at any cost. Cruelty becomes just being honest. Manipulation becomes love. Control becomes protection. Jealousy becomes concern. The most dangerous people aren't the openly malicious ones. They're the ones completely convinced of their own innocence. When you truly understand this, you stop focusing on what people say and start asking, what emotional outcome does this person want from me? Some want admiration, some want obedience, some want dependence. Many just want someone beneath them so they can escape their own inadequacy for a while. This is why relationships can flip so suddenly. The emotional contract changes. and the mask comes off. Success reveals envy. Vulnerability reveals disrespect. Boundaries reveal entitlement. Nothing exposes people faster than when you stop playing the role they assigned you. This awareness can feel lonely. You realize being surrounded by people and being truly seen are two completely different things. But here's where many people go wrong with Jung's wisdom. Seeing the darkness in others is only half the journey. The real confrontation begins when you recognize the same darkness inside yourself. The jealousy, the neediness, the hunger for control, the cruel fantasies, the desire to dominate or be worshipped. Repression doesn't kill these things. It buries them alive, and they control you from below. True self-awareness doesn't make you morally superior. It makes you humble. You understand how fragile morality actually is. Put any person under enough pressure, fear, power, or desire, and the mask cracks. You stop dividing the world into heroes and monsters. You start seeing wounded, fragmented human beings, including yourself, all fighting private psychological wars. The goal isn't cynicism. The goal is consciousness. You stop expecting people to be who they promised they'd be. You stop being shocked when admiration turns to envy or loyalty bends under pressure. You become slower to trust, but deeper when you do. Harder to manipulate, less addicted to approval, more honest with yourself, because you finally understand the greatest danger was never that others would deceive you. It was that your own loneliness, desires, hopes, and projections would deceive you first. The day you stop romanticizing people is the day you finally start seeing them and yourself clearly. Not optimistic, not pessimistic, just clear. And that clarity is freedom.